But first tonight, the extraordinary claims of a former member of the British National Party who says his life has been ruined because police won't confirm that he was actually working undercover for them all along. Gary Shopland spent 7 years with the far-right party at a time when it was one of the most controversial organisations in British politics.
But he says he only signed up after being recruited by police to infiltrate the BNP as a paid informant and never agreed with its agenda. 14 years after he left the party, having been branded a Nazi sympathiser, he says he's still trying to clear his name. Sam Casey reports.
Vocal support for the British National Party in the early part of the millennium. A period when the far right was causing concern among the authorities, especially in the wake of riots in Bradford and Oldham. Living in Huddersfield at the time, Gary Shopland spent 7 years in the BNP and claims he eventually became a bodyguard for party leader Nick Griffin. But his account of how he became a BNP insider sounds like something from the pages of a spy novel.
I've never been a racist, I've never been involved in far-right politics. The police recruited me off the street, put me inside the British National Party, say, right, we've got a job for you, we'd like you to do this. Let me get on with it, and now I'm in a position now where they've turned their back and betrayed me.
Before he joined the party, Gary's main pastime, featured on Calendar in 1996, was ultra-distance running, and he says it was through sporting contacts that he was approached by police to infiltrate the BNP.
I was doing a training exercise in Snowdon with a police officer, a friend of mine, said, well, I'd like to get involved in working for them. And I said, I'm up for the challenge. I was introduced to my handler, and we met and had coffee and a chat in Holmfirth. And I said to me, we'd like you to work for us. Have you ever heard of the BNP?
Gary says that having become a BNP member, he was instructed to attend party meetings, made notes about their activities, and says he recorded phone calls like this with fellow activists.
Who do I genuinely recruit? Anybody?
Yes, anybody who's reliable.
Okay.
And I mean reliable.
There might be they're a bit rough and ready type sort of things.
Dear fellow, there are times when we can use people like that.
Some of the things that I used to hear and I used to witness was quite sickening and horrendous, really.
Tell us about some of that.
It's just like, it just come on the way, you'd be going down the road with them and they'd wind the window down and they'd be shouting verbal abuse across the road at a young couple holding hands, the man being black and the young girl being white. And then there's the more politics side of it. You go and leaflet down this road. I think it was Manningham Road in Bradford, is it? And that just had riots. I had to be resilient because of the nature of the thing that I was infiltrating. Taking in the information but not letting it stay there.
He claims he received payments from police for information, always off the books.
They pay me in the brown envelopes at the back of the car, if you like, some supermarket car park up somewhere high up in the Yorkshire moors.
After 7 years with the BNP, Gary says things turned sour when a national newspaper published an article referring to his membership of the party. He says that being outed as what some people saw as a racist extremist ruined his life.
It was beginning of a nightmare, really. People that used to be my friends to chat to suddenly wasn't. I started losing jobs that I'd been there for a while, or people are not going to go in that place because you're a Nazi.
For the last 14 years, Gary has fought unsuccessfully to force West Yorkshire Police to corroborate his story.
Civil claims, judicial review, complaints against the police, Data Protection Act, Human Rights Act. It's cost me about £25,000.
While the force will neither confirm nor deny that he worked for them, they have written a letter appearing to support his claims that he never held far-right views, saying reports to the contrary are totally inaccurate and without proper foundation. In a separate letter, the West Yorkshire Police and Crime Commissioner says that while he supports the force's stance, Gary's claims raise a serious issue about how police exercise a duty of care towards what he calls covert human intelligence sources and what measures are in place for the recruitment and monitoring of such individuals. But Gary says the fact that police won't confirm his claims has taken a real toll.
It's been an absolute nightmare. Suffered with ill health, mental problems, unable to find work.
Some people might listen to your story and think it sounds like a fantasy, like this is a convenient cover story almost for the reasons why you were in the BNP. Why should people believe what you're telling us?
Well, obviously I can't give a smoking gun and say, listen, I definitely wasn't a racist. I wasn't. I'm just asking them to believe me.
Well, West Yorkshire Police declined to be interviewed about Gary's claims, but Assistant Chief Constable Russ Foster did give us a statement. He said the question of whether someone is or is not a police informant is one that the police service is often asked. Many methods are used to obtain intelligence, and that intelligence is vital to keeping our communities safe. It is, however, the position of West Yorkshire Police and other law enforcement agencies neither to confirm nor deny whether people are not, or ever have been informants. Meanwhile, the BNP also says it cannot confirm or deny Gary's claims.
Well, a little earlier I spoke to Neil Woods, a former undercover police officer who worked infiltrating drugs gangs for 14 years. He said that recruiting a member of the public in this way would be very unusual. I put it to him that if no one will acknowledge what Mr. Shopland claims he was actually doing, how will he get closure?
Well, I mean, if what he's saying is true, then he really is in the most horrendous limbo, and I've got every sympathy for him. It's also perfectly understandable that the police should take a position where they can't confirm or deny involvement. I mean, obviously, if you're casually admitting the use of informants, it sort of negates to a certain degree, their power. But of course, this taps into a wider issue. I mean, the Pitchford inquiry has been going on about the activities of undercover police officers in relation to political groups. This is sort of tapping into the same thing. Well, we really need to be asking ourselves exactly how much resources and how we should be spying on political groups, where the value is, where the cost is. Because it looks like this may be another cost to someone. If it's true, of course, that this has got to come out. There are certainly some hints that have come from the West Yorkshire solicitor that there may be some truth in this.
How credible do you see it being that Mr. Shopland managed to become, in a very short space of time, a bodyguard, as he claims, to Nick Griffin?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and if you look at the BNP, there's not actually that many of them, or there weren't. Without meaning to be too critical of the average membership of the BNP, how many intelligent dynamic people would there be in the organisation to rise to the top? So I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's perhaps, if this is true, his skills as an informant, as essentially a spy, were good. You know, people who are successful working undercover is because we have certain skills. So I don't know, but it seems quite feasible to me.
Just outline, if you could, the skills that are required to make a good undercover officer or person.
Well, to be good working undercover, you have to be good at manipulating people. You have to have a certain callousness, a certain focus, and you really don't have to worry too much about the impact that has on those people you're manipulating. That you have to be quite hard, but you also have to be a very good liar, and you have to be very good at remembering those lies.
And do you believe that Mr. Shopland can ever get any form of closure because of the constraints of what he actually did or claims to have done?
If you take on face value and if it's true what he says, then he really is stuck in some kind of limbo. And I think obviously if he's being tainted with this image of being an organised racist, and if that's not true, then clearly having his name having his name cleared is going to make the big difference with that. I would expect so. Whether he'll completely get over it, I'm not sure, but I think it would make a huge difference. But obviously, I can't comment on the truth of it.